So, this month, we are talking about pressing into the presence of God. And during our first week, we talked about the woman with the issue of blood. Last week, we talked about Bartimaeus. And this week, we're going to see a story about someone else who pressed their way through a crowd just to see Jesus. Hello and welcome to God Does Have Favorites. Today, we're going to look at someone whose story is told in Luke 19. And if you have ever been considered an outcast, you may be able to relate to this story a little more than others. Today's story is about a tax collector named Zacchaeus. And this story actually takes place right after Jesus healed Bartimaeus. And it says in Luke 19 that Jesus was passing through Jericho, and there was a chief tax collector named Zacchaeus, and he wanted to see Jesus. But because he was short, he couldn't see over the crowd. And that caused him to run ahead and climb a sycamore tree. And it says that when Jesus came by, he looked up at Zacchaeus and called him by name. Zacchaeus, quick, come down. I am going to be a guest at your house today. And I love that Jesus called Zacchaeus by name. He knew who he was. And because Zacchaeus had pressed in to see Jesus, Jesus invited himself into Zacchaeus' home. And notice, Zacchaeus didn't start making excuses about being unworthy or not being good enough. It says that he quickly climbed down and took Jesus to his home. And it says that everyone who saw this was indignant and that they said, what business does he have getting cozy with this crook? So people were upset and didn't like the fact that Jesus went home with someone who wasn't like them. They called Zacchaeus a crook. But we're going to see what happened when Zacchaeus refused to be moved by what others thought of him. It says that Zacchaeus just stood there, a little stunned. It says he stammered apologetically, Master, I give away half my income to the poor. And if I'm caught cheating, I pay 4 times the damages. And Jesus said, today is salvation day in this home. Here he is, Zacchaeus, son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to find and restore the lost. So people thought they knew who Zacchaeus was. But because Zacchaeus was willing to go higher to encounter Jesus, let's look at what happened. For starters, despite the crowd around Jesus, he noticed Zacchaeus in a sycamore tree. When Zacchaeus pressed in and went higher, Jesus found him. Next, Zacchaeus thought he was looking for Jesus, but Jesus was looking for him. And notice that Zacchaeus' stature or his perceived imperfections meant nothing to Jesus. And I love that Jesus didn't judge Zacchaeus, nor did he care what others thought of his interaction with him. He didn't allow people or things to limit his encounter or what God had planned to do. And there's a place that we will all encounter Jesus, and we must not allow anyone or anything to stop us from arriving at that place. And I love that Jesus went with Zacchaeus to his home, into his comfort zone. Listen, Jesus will meet us right where we are, even in the middle of our mess. He will come to places that most religious folks won't. And Jesus didn't see Zacchaeus the way others saw him. Jesus knew who Zacchaeus was created to be. And when people called Zacchaeus a crook, Jesus called him a son. Jesus gave Zacchaeus his true identity. And Jesus' interaction with Zacchaeus changed his life and his lifestyle. Jesus stood with Zacchaeus in his salvation. And notice, it wasn't Jesus' judgment, condemnation, or preaching that saved Zacchaeus. It was his kindness. Jesus took time to notice him, and he takes time to notice you. He doesn't see you the way people see you. Whose presence they were in didn't matter. He took time for him. And the compassion that Jesus showed him changed his life. And as I have said the past 2 weeks, I don't care what you're going through or how hard it may look. When you press into the presence of the King, he will notice you. He will affirm you, and he will always speak life into you. At the end of the day, everyone in that crowd wanted the same thing. They wanted to be in the presence of Jesus. And the one who received was the one who went higher, the one who pressed their way by faith. Zacchaeus was determined to see, but instead he was seen. His determination, it paid off. So I don't know what area you may need to come up higher in or what challenges may be trying to keep you from Jesus, but be determined to press your way in. Be determined to not let the crowd keep you from the one who can help you. And be determined to not allow others to keep you on their level, because when Zacchaeus went higher, he was rewarded. Jesus had a face-to-face encounter with Zacchaeus that changed his life. And remember, people, they may not think you're important, and they may only see your issue, but Jesus will always turn to have a face-to-face encounter with you, because to him, you are the most important. So stop letting your past or your present, people, situations, and distractions keep you from pressing in. Make a decision to be intentional about pressing into the presence of the King, and watch how he rewards your faith. Now, go be great today, because the greater one lives in you. Be blessed.